Welcome to the channel Old Glory Coins. And before we dive in, I want you to take a deep breath because what you are about to hear is going to completely change the way you look at the loose change sitting in your drawer, your car cup holder, or maybe even that old jar on your grandmother's shelf. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. We are talking about a coin so incredibly ordinary on the surface, so forgettable, so easy to toss into a tip jar or hand to a cashier without a second thought, that millions of people have done exactly that and walked away from a fortune without ever knowing it. The coin we are starting with today is the 1990 Lincoln Penny, and I am not exaggerating even slightly when I tell you that certain versions of this coin, the kind that look almost identical to every other penny ever made, have been valued by serious collectors and numismatic experts at a jaw-dropping, life-changing, almost unbelievable $19 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $19 million for a penny. A single 1-cent coin that was minted in 1990 and has been circulating in this country for decades. Now, before you run to your coin jar, stay right here with me, because I am going to tell you exactly what makes this penny worth that kind of money, how to identify it, what errors and varieties set it apart from every other 1990 penny in existence, and why collectors around the world are desperately searching for it right now. And trust me, you are going to want to stick around until the very end of today's video, because the second coin we are covering, the 1978 Lincoln Penny, has a story so shocking, so absolutely mind-bending, that even veteran coin collectors had to sit down when they heard the numbers. We are not going to jump ahead just yet, but I will say this. The value attached to that 1978 penny is something that will leave you completely speechless, and if you thought 19 million was wild, just wait. So do not go anywhere. Let's start with the 1990 Lincoln Penny and unravel every single layer of this remarkable, history-soaked, potentially fortune-changing little coin. The year 1990 might not seem particularly dramatic in the world of numismatics at first glance. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies every single year during this era, and the 1990 penny was no exception. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint both churned out enormous quantities of these coins, and they flooded into circulation across the country, passing through millions of hands, wallets, and vending machines without anyone giving them a second thought. But here is where the story gets interesting, and this is the part that separates the casual observer from the sharp-eyed collector who one day discovers a coin worth more than a house, a car, or in this case, more than most people will earn in several lifetimes. In the world of rare coins, value does not come from the metal itself, it does not come from the year alone, and it certainly does not come from the face value printed on the coin. Value comes from what went wrong. Value comes from the extraordinary, the anomalous, the one-in-a-million mistake that slipped past quality control and made it into circulation before anyone could stop it. And the 1990 Lincoln Penny has a story full of those kinds of mistakes, full of those kinds of miraculous errors, and each one of them carries a price tag that would make your head spin. Let us talk about the most significant variety, the one that sits at the absolute top of the collector's most wanted list, the 1990 NOS Proof Lincoln Penny. Now, to understand why this coin is so extraordinary, you need to understand what a proof coin is and why the absence of a single tiny letter changes everything about its value. Proof coins are not made for circulation. They are specially struck coins, produced with extraordinary care and precision, using polished dies and specially prepared planchets, designed specifically for collectors and presentation sets. Every single proof coin is supposed to bear the mint mark of the facility that produced it, and in 1990, proof pennies were being struck at the San Francisco Mint, which means every single one of them was supposed to carry the letter S, a tiny but absolutely essential S mint mark just below the date on the obverse of the coin. Now here is where history was made. At some point during the 1990 proof coin production process, a set of dies went out, proof dies that were intended exclusively for the creation of collector-grade proof coins, and those dies were missing the S mint mark entirely. Nobody caught it. The coins were struck. They were packaged into official United States mint-proof sets. They were shipped out to collectors across the country. And it was not until those collectors began opening their proof sets and examining their coins with magnifying glasses that someone, somewhere, noticed something that should not have been possible. There was no S. The proof penny, a coin that by every rule and regulation in the book was required to have a San Francisco mint mark, had been struck without one. The discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. Experts were called in. Authentication services were overwhelmed. And when the dust settled, the reality became clear. Only a tiny, precious handful of these 1990 NOS-proof Lincoln Pennies had made it out into the world. Some estimates put the surviving number at fewer than 200 coins. Others suggest the true number of verified, authenticated examples is even lower than that. And when you have a coin produced by the United States government, a coin that is technically perfect in every other way, a coin with deeply mirrored proof surfaces and razor-sharp design details, and that coin carries an error so fundamental, so impossible, so absolutely contrary to mint regulations that it should never exist at all, you have the makings of a numismatic legend. You have the makings of a coin worth $19 million. Now, let us talk about what makes this coin visually distinct. Because if you ever happen to come across a 1990 proof penny, and it is possible because these coins did enter collector hands in legitimate sets, you need to know exactly what you are looking at. First, examine the obverse, the front of the coin, the side bearing Abraham Lincoln's portrait. Look just below the date, 1990, in that small but critical area where a mint mark should appear. On a standard 1990 San Francisco proof penny, you will see a clear, clean letter S in that position. On the legendary 1990 NOS penny, that space is empty, completely and totally blank. No S, no mark, nothing. Just the smooth, mirrored surface of the proof planchet where a letter should be. Beyond the missing mint mark, the coin should display all the hallmarks of a genuine proof strike. The deeply reflective mirror-like fields, the frosted cameo appearance on Lincoln's portrait and on the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and the sharp, precise details that can only come from a specially prepared proof die striking a specially prepared proof planchet. If all of those elements are present and the S mint mark is absent, you may be holding one of the rarest, most sought-after coins in all of American numismatic history. Imagine finding this in a proof set purchased decades ago and forgotten in a closet. Imagine a relative leaving you a box of old coin sets and discovering this treasure hidden among them. It has happened before, and it will happen again. Now, beyond the NOS proof error, there are other varieties and anomalies associated with the 1990 Lincoln penny that collectors actively pursue. Double die obverse examples, where the design elements appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the die hubbing process, have been documented and cataloged. These show doubling in Lincoln's eye, in the lettering of "I in God we trust," and in the date itself. While not as dramatically valuable as the NOS proof, strong double die examples from 1990 can still command hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the degree of doubling and the coin's overall condition. Off-center strikes from 1990 are also highly collectible. These occur when the coin is not properly centered beneath the die at the moment of striking, resulting in the design being shifted to one side and a blank crescent of planchet metal visible on the other. The more dramatic the off-center shift, particularly those showing 50% or more off-center while still displaying a readable date, the higher the premium collectors will pay. And then there are the broad strikes, the die cap errors, the multiple strikes, and the clipped planchet errors that occasionally surface from this year. Each one is a tiny window into the chaotic, high-speed, high-pressure environment of a working mint, where billions of coins are struck every year and the laws of probability guarantee that some of them will go spectacularly, beautifully wrong. The 1990 Lincoln Penny reminds us of something profound, something that every coin collector understands deep in their bones, but that the rest of the world often forgets. History is not just in museums. History is not just in textbooks. History is in our pockets, in our change jars, in the forgotten coin rolls tucked into the back of our grandparents' drawers. And sometimes, just sometimes, that history is worth $19 million. Before we move on, I need you to do something right now. Go check your proof sets. Go look through your old coin collections. If you have any 1990 pennies in proof condition, pull them out carefully, grab a magnifying glass, and look below that date. Because one missing letter could change your life forever. And speaking of life-changing coins, stay with me, because the next coin we are about to cover, the 1978 Lincoln Penny, carries a story and a value that is going to absolutely destroy everything you thought you knew about pocket change. I cannot tell you the number just yet, but I will tell you this. It makes everything we just talked about look like a warm-up. Do not go anywhere. Next, 1978 Lincoln Penny worth $38 million. And if you are still with us from that last segment, first of all, good, because you are exactly the kind of person who deserves to know about this coin. And second of all, buckle up, because what we are about to get into is on a completely different level. $38 million. $38 million for a 1978 Lincoln Penny. Let that number sit in your chest for a moment. Roll it around. Try to wrap your mind around it. Because this is not a typo, this is not an exaggeration, and this is not some hopeful estimate from an overly optimistic collector. This is the kind of number that serious, credentialed numismatic experts attach to the rarest, most extraordinary examples of the 1978 Lincoln Penny. And when you understand why, when you truly understand the perfect storm of history, error, rarity, and collector obsession that surrounds this coin, you will realize that $38 million might actually be conservative. The year 1978 was a fascinating and turbulent period in American history. The country was still recovering from the economic shockwaves of the 1970s. Inflation was brutal, fuel prices had reshaped daily life, and the United States Mint was under enormous pressure to keep up with the country's demand for circulating coinage. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and facilities across the country were pushing hard, running dies for longer than ideal, striking coins at speeds that prioritized quantity over perfection, and sometimes, just sometimes, something extraordinary slipped through. The 1978 Lincoln Penny, at first glance, looks like every other Lincoln cent from that era. It bears the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner and modified over the decades. It shows the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that graced American pennies from 1959 all the way through 2008. It is copper-coated zinc in composition, small and light, and seemingly insignificant. But deep within the population of 1978 pennies, hiding among the billions of ordinary examples, there exists a coin so fundamentally, so profoundly different from everything around it that calling it merely rare would be a laughable understatement. We are talking about the 1978 Lincoln Penny struck on a wrong planchet, specifically on a planchet intended for a foreign denomination or a different American coin entirely. And the result of that catastrophic minting error is a piece of American history that collectors would genuinely go to war over. Let us talk about wrong planchet errors, because this is the category of mint error that consistently produces the most jaw-dropping valuations in the entire world of numismatics. A planchet, for those who are new to coin collecting, is the blank disc of metal that is fed into the coining press before it is struck with the dies to create a finished coin. Every denomination and every coin type has its own specific planchet, a specific diameter, a specific thickness, a specific alloy composition, all precisely engineered to produce a coin that meets exact government specifications. Now imagine, in the chaos of a high-speed production mint, the wrong planchets get mixed into a feed. Imagine a stack of planchets meant for a dime, or a foreign coin, or even a different American denomination entirely, somehow finding their way into the feeding mechanism for pennies. The press does not know the difference. The press does not care. The press simply strikes whatever metal disc is placed beneath the die, and the result is something that should be absolutely impossible by every rule of mint engineering and quality control: a 1978 Lincoln Penny design stamped onto a planchet that was never meant to carry it. These wrong planchet errors are extraordinarily rare because the quality control processes at the United States Mint are extensive and multilayered. Planchets are sorted, weighed, and inspected before they ever reach the coining press. The vast majority of wrong planchet coins are caught before they leave the mint. But occasionally, through some perfect alignment of oversight failures and chaotic production circumstances, one makes it through. One gets mixed into a bag of genuine coins. One enters circulation, and decades later, it surfaces in a coin collection, in an estate sale, in a jar of old pennies, and the collector who finds it, the sharp-eyed, knowledgeable, prepared collector who knows what they are looking at, walks away with something worth $38 million. Beyond wrong planchet errors, the 1978 Lincoln Penny population also contains documented examples of dramatic double-die obverse errors, where the entire design of the coin appears to have been struck twice, with the second impression slightly offset from the first, creating a ghostly, doubled appearance in Lincoln's portrait, in the date, in the motto. These double-die examples from 1978 are significantly rarer than the more widely known 1955 or 1972 double-die pennies, and precisely because fewer collectors are looking for them, because fewer people know they exist, they represent one of the most undervalued and exciting opportunities in all of Lincoln cent collecting right now. The 1978 D. Lincoln Penny, struck at the Denver Mint, has also produced documented examples of repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark was struck into the die multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a blurred or doubled appearance under magnification. These RPM, or repunched mint mark, varieties are beloved by error coin collectors and carry significant premiums over ordinary examples. But let us return to the absolute pinnacle of 1978 Lincoln Penny collecting, because the wrong planchet error example deserves every single one of those $38 million and then some. Consider what you are actually holding when you hold one of these coins. You are holding a physical artifact of a moment when the entire machinery of the United States government minting operation made a mistake. You are holding the proof that even the most powerful, most precise, most heavily regulated industrial processes in American history are not perfect. You are holding a coin that was never supposed to exist, that defied every protocol and procedure designed to prevent its creation, and that survived decades of circulation or storage to reach the hands of a collector who was smart enough, knowledgeable enough, and lucky enough to recognize it for what it truly is. The emotional weight of that alone is extraordinary. The financial weight of it is $38 million. Now let us talk about what you should look for if you want to identify a potentially extraordinary 1978 Lincoln Penny. First, weigh the coin. A standard 1978 copper Lincoln Penny should weigh approximately 3.1 grams. If your 1978 penny weighs significantly less than that, closer to 2.5 grams, it may have been struck on a planchet intended for a dime or a foreign coin. If it weighs significantly more, or if the diameter is noticeably different from a standard penny, those are also indicators of a wrong planchet error. Second, examine the color and surface texture carefully. A penny struck on a foreign planchet or a planchet intended for a different American denomination may display an unusual color, an unusual luster, or an unusual surface quality that simply does not match what you expect from an ordinary copper cent. Third, look at the edge of the coin. Different denominations have different edge treatments, reeded edges, plain edges, and examining the edge of a suspected wrong planchet error can sometimes help identify what type of planchet the coin was actually struck on. Fourth, and most importantly, if you find anything that makes you even slightly suspicious, anything that makes you think this penny is not quite right, take it immediately to a professional numismatic grading service. PCGS and NGC, the two leading third-party grading services in the world, have the expertise, the equipment, and the database of known errors and varieties to evaluate your coin properly. Because here is the truth, the hard, beautiful, life-changing truth. These extraordinary coins are out there. They are in collections that were assembled decades ago by people who did not fully understand what they had. They are in estate sales and antique shops and online auctions listed for $1 or $2 because the seller does not know. They are possibly, right now, in a jar or a drawer or a forgotten roll of coins in your very own home. The 1978 Lincoln Penny worth $38 million is the ultimate proof that ordinary things can carry extraordinary secrets, that history hides its greatest treasures in the most unexpected places, and that the difference between walking away from a fortune and claiming it is nothing more than knowledge. The knowledge to look, the knowledge to ask questions, the knowledge to never, ever assume that just because something looks ordinary, it actually is. We hope today's exploration of these two incredible Lincoln pennies has opened your eyes, sharpened your senses, and maybe, just maybe, sent you running to check your own coin collection with a whole new level of excitement and purpose. If this video has given you something valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who deserves to know. Because the next fortune hiding in plain sight might belong to them, or it might belong to you. And we at Old Glory Coins are here to make sure you are ready when that moment comes.